There we go. Good job. Clear. All right, so you should be able to see me in there. Red, orange, and yellow guy. Blue beard, as the card tries to make me a ghost. All right, so I normally make the joke that I'm red, orange, and yellow because I'm the hottest thing inside the frame, but there's more guys here than ladies tonight, so the joke's not always going to work, even though the ladies are all grinning. See? Told you. It works every time. You ought to see me with bridal parties, by the way. That slays. Somebody's on the ground. We're looking for cold spots. Those are going to be blue and black. We're always going to have blue and black in here. Reason why, it's a little chilly out here. Glass is going to hang on to the cold. An aluminum can on the ground, a sign that caught some wind. You guys are seeing the point. I want the blue and black areas to move or to take shape. When I say take shape, I want a head, shoulders, moving arms and legs. That's what we've caught with this guy in the past. Hopefully that's what we'll capture with it again. I also have it set up with a blue dot bouncing around the screen, showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. I'm looking for 15+ degree temperature drops out here. We're about 55 degrees out here ambient. I'll be looking for 40 degrees and colder moving across the screen. So with that, I love to give you stats about most of the equipment that you're going to be using, because I do this about 200 times a year plus my own investigations. This thing will capture about 4 to 5 pieces per year that I would put my stamp of approval on, not per episode. I'm not a TV show host. I can't make the ghosts do shit. They're not on the payroll. So again, 4 to 5 pieces per year, but I do have dozens of others where I'm like, maybe, and I put it in the maybe pile. It's good for studying later on. But again, those 4 to 5 pieces that I capture per year, they're unmistakable. And of course, we always study them frame by frame, and I have a couple of cohorts that I send everything by. So behind me, and it was facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over there and came all the way across to where we're standing right here. And in the back of the space was where the servant and slave quarters once were. So who the hell were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 Chucks, in case you weren't paying attention. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Big deal for us, but I hate politics. So, we're going to move on. Which, by the way, the reason why I brought up the point that that's why we're, there's 3 Chucks, is that's why we look for those secondary clues. So, if the name Charles shows up, I need to know which one it is, so I know how to do it correctly. We have 3 different men. So, anyway, we're going to be talking about Eliza instead. Eliza has a much better history. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards. If you start asking her how old she was when she married him, don't expect numbers from the colonial times when girls got married at like 12 and 14. Think of today's standards, because the husband was over double her age. Kind of a creepy age gap then, it's a creepy age gap now. I'm just going to point that out as my honest opinion, take it for what it is, what we're building.
Hello.
Thank you, Eliza. Alright, so we're gonna wrap it up. Alright, let's talk about the EMF readings. Are you excited? Just so you guys know. Again, not a TV show host. So let's talk about these EMF readings so you guys know what the hell we're actually looking at. Yeah. So kind of the rule of thumb, just so you know, so it doesn't look like I'm shishing you all night. If I'm speaking, well, you'll see as we kind of go. Like, it's a live EVP session. Wherever you point, most sound. Hopefully you got the point of that. So that's going to go over to you. If it gets too windy, which I don't think we're going to get anyway tonight with all this fog, I have a wind screen for it. So, the number 60 is weird. I don't know why. It's just sticking out to me for some odd reason. And then you had the number 1.
Yes,
So
I just got it again.
So I'm just wondering if it's 61.
I don't know, and then I got 3.
And Thomas, you had a lot of things dealing with criminals. Am I correct?
Yes.
Criminals and theft.
And theft.
Theft. Interesting. So,
I mean, mine said 60.1 back there, and then she showed 60. She said,
so welcome to Philadelphia Alley, by the way. After this location, obviously we're going to get you a new light. I have another one as well. It's from more fresh fuel battery. But this place, every ghost tour comes down here. I was going to take it out of my route, so this kind of followed me around a little bit. With my old route, before I was going to take that as the last stop, before I moved in, he would follow us all the way to the last stop because we would always be near a place of raised emotion for him. We all tell the same damn story down here, but again, I'm going to give you a few extra details because you're ghost hunting. You're not on a campfire marshmallow kind of ghost tour. So, you got something going on weird?
I'm just recording all around.
Okay. Even still.
There were some blue spots here earlier, way down.
So the hope here is that we get a full blue person walking towards us. Alright, so let's get into the reason why we're here. Like I said, we'll stir shit up and we'll scram. And we'll be able to pass around Haley's headset in case anybody wants to check that thing out because it is pretty intense in there. Here's how it goes. A doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. Remember, somebody heard the name Joseph earlier? So, by the way, and I don't normally bring up the 77 unless it shows up. We normally get 7s in double around this location because that's his birthday, July 7th, 7-7. So he heard Joseph and 77. So that's why I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why the hell was he over by the Pinckney Mansion? Moving on. He moves here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a lot of money from her dead parents, and she has an attorney helping her out with all of the cash flow. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after her money, so he tells Amanda, get rid of that doctor fella. He comes here to prove that he's not after the money. He's going to start his medical practice here, and he's going to be making his own cash. On his way into town, he had a coachman that set him up to be robbed and killed. It's like having a really bad Uber driver in today's world. Sorry, but you guys are all taking Ubers back. I like to put that thought in the back of your brain. But anyway, so somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen, and that person's name was Ralph Isaacs. Do Ralph's initials sound familiar to anything I've said since we've been here? Rhode Island. Right. So we were getting the letters RI all the time on regular spirit boxes. So I bought another device, and it's called an Envoy. It's basically a digital Ouija board. Anytime we got an EMF spike like Kevin's device, it would give us a letter. We were not using it tonight because I broke it further a few weeks ago trying to repair it from somebody dropping it, and I broke it even further. So I'm waiting for the insurance company to replace it. But anyway, in case you don't know, this thing's run about $450 roughly, in case you've seen one on YouTube. I know a lot of you guys are looking at this equipment stuff. Moving on. We've only had it, by the way, the RI show up on that Envoy device only when I talked about Ralph, not necessarily Rhode Island. So now we know who it's referencing. I don't know who the hell's up around the corner, but I hear voices too. We could have all messed with you really good right there. Like,
I was like, what girls are talking?
you'll be able to tell what they're saying later on. I love how he just holds it up as high as he can go. We'll see who the hell's up there. So, moving on. Ralph tells the doctor, hey dude, I know this guy, the coachman. He is going to try to kill you. I know him. And you can come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. They'll rent your room. You'll be safe and good to go. The doc took him up on the offer, and they became friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. He's not after Amanda's cash. He's making his own. So she gets wind of this, and she's moving down so they could be married. And Dr. Ladd then became known as the Whistling Doctor. This is why I hate the story. Every haunted city you will ever visit is going to have a cliched whistling ghost. I promise you. Ours just happens to be a doctor. The reason why I gave Haley that headset is because I've actually caught some whistles, disembodied, coming out of her headset. So why are we here? And I'm telling you this ghost story, and we're in Dueler's Alley. That's what this place used to be called. So here's how the rest of the story goes. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. You got better seats. So they go see Richard III one night, and on their way home, they're discussing the new actress they just saw. Doc thought she was fantastic. Ralph didn't. They start arguing, and then Ralph is insulting the doctor's fiance. Man, back home in Rhode Island, and it got really ugly between the two of them. They go their separate ways. The next day, Ralph goes to his friends at the newspaper and places an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of shit. Well, Doc saw this ad, and he rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this, and somebody's going to die. All this over an actress, by the way, just like to point out how dumb shit was in the 1700s. Anyway, they came down here back to back. They took their 10 paces. They turned. Do you have something going on with that?
There was a lot of blue coming low this way.
It's also going to be in reference to what else is inside the screen. So if your hand moves slightly, it has that possibility. Just trying to debunk things ahead of time so you're not getting too excited. Of course, you're still recording. So to save face, let's go ahead and stop the recording and start it back up again. It's in November. I'm telling you these dates on purpose. It's going to make more sense. So I called my partner that morning and I told him what happened. And he's laughing at me too because he already got the city complaint. So he basically said, you're going to have to figure it out. You're not allowed to go down that far. It's residential. And he hung up the phone. I was like, well, shit, now what? So I'm sold out. It's Black Friday. And tickets were much cheaper back then. So I told my group, I don't believe in the next story. I'm into vampires, not pirates. I would normally tell you a pirate story next, but I've been kicked out of there too. We'll talk about that when we get over there. But anyway, so before we left, by the way, if I tell you we're going to be discussing pirates, who's the first pirate you think of?
Blackbeard.
Exactly. Thank you for not saying Jack Sparrow. You would not believe how many times I hear that answer. But I know, right? So you would normally think of Blackbeard, especially when you're in Charleston. But I did not tell them who it was going to be. And somebody with a spirit box before we left here heard the name Anne. I didn't tell them it was going to be Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate.
Oh, yeah.
So I was kind of like, all right, maybe we'll get something. So we go up and around the corner. Somebody heard the number 300. I didn't know what it meant. I wrote it down. I did the research the next morning for them. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of her pirate trial. So I normally get a lot of the head nods and wow, that's really cool shit kind of stuff like you guys are giving me right now. I was actually pissed. Let me explain. As soon as they pass. It says fire, literally, right on the thing. That's funny. It's also relevant to why they named this place Philadelphia. But I was pissed because I have a master's degree in creative writing and several other bachelor degrees in different styles of writing. Research and data is important to me. Pirate stories come from pirate lore that was written 100 years after the days of Blackbeard and Anne Bonny. That's a problem, because every time you guys think you heard something that may have been relevant to the Anne Bonny story, I had to read like 3 textbooks and 4 documentaries just to make sure like what we had was validated. Well, granted, we're not allowed over there, but I did have this grand elaborate story that was actually super great, and I was starting to get into it, but now we're not allowed over there anymore. So what happened now is I had to replace that story very quickly. So I was telling the same story that all the other ghost tours end with, but I don't like the story because it's cursed to females. So I replaced it with another story. So we're going to be still experimenting with that as we kind of get over there. I'm going to swap out all of the extra things coming out of Barry's device. Does anybody want to try this set of headphones before we leave this space, and then talk to me about anything we may have heard or numbers we have seen? What do we got going on?
Okay. I got Canadian.
Okay. Oh yeah, watch there's feedback on that thing. And I do listen to that recording from start to finish. Just so you know, that's the one thing I won't spot check. I do listen to it because it's only going to be like 12 to 15 minutes long.
I gotta go around the corner here.
You'll get hit with that.
Understood.
Yep. I'll be right back. I got.
Any other words we need to know about besides fire?
I got type, Canadian, fire, start, poverty, sleep.
The word fire is relevant to the location because they named it after dueling was already illegal, but they wanted to rename it because it was illegal. So they named it after a city that helped us out of one of our many fires, and Philadelphia happened to be that city. So that's why it's called Philadelphia Alley.
Nick, I have to ask you, is there a bathroom when you're around here?
Yes and no. We'll just say that, yeah, Todd's taking advantage of that right now, like right around the corner, but we're going to be getting closer to Tommy Condon's, which has a restroom, so we can take a quick break on our way up to our next location from there.
Okay, that's fine.
Anything that was heard on the spirit boxes?
He said no.
People.
Bad people on yours. All right. Anybody else want to test out that headphones before I pack it up? Because this is the only location we use it.
Here, Carly, let me see that. Okay.
Did psychiatric mean anything?
Not necessarily, but I'll write it
Whew.
down.
Yeah.
Wow. No.
There's a lot of damage, especially back then.
Just thought it was weird.
Thomas, did you get anything out of yours? Okay. I know this location's weird because you're trying to stay focused on me, and you have gobbledygook in your ears, And again, he's going to be close by because we're literally going up and around the corner to the cemetery on the other side of this wall. So again, that's why we're going to get things from both Dr. Ladd and the next story. But again, that's why the Joseph 77 was so important to me. I'm like, what the hell's he doing over there? Just so weird that you had it like back to back like that. Anything else going on with your camera over there, Charlie?
No, not really. I'm not getting much.
And by the way, guys, if I find anything on that camera, I take screenshots and brighten it up to make sure it's not a tree, it's not the leaves lined up, and if it's not anything that I can make out, you'll get like a slideshow. It's a slider bar where you get the original screenshot and then you slide it over and it's brighter so you could see like what would have been behind those markers. So again, if it's something that I can't make out, you're going to get it in your report. So
I saw like a real dark blue from the line of the hedges coming out.
anybody vaping over there? Vape actually comes out in like a water droplet form, and that can cause like a cold. So a few months ago, I like to tell this story. Is it back
So
again?
it went in.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh no, it's coming. See the tree? It's on the other side of it. It's like there's something.
No recording. And again, I would do a stop and start again, just to make sure. So a few months ago, there's a tour guide that loves to come by and try to scare you guys. She's dressed like a pirate, and she will come out of that wall.
You saw her?
Yeah. And she loves to come and scare my groups. Well, we kind of caught her in the act, and she come by and you know, she gave me a hug before she left. So that would create a body heat to body heat, and we'll just say that she's bigger than me, right? So, and it wasn't like exactly a chilly month like this. So on the thermal, once she walked away, I was not warm, but there was a cold swirling that started at the bottom and went all the way up over top of me and then out of the screen. Like, craziest thing I ever saw on there. Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, that should have been heat on heat.
Right.
Especially as much as I talk. Like, my skin should be pretty bright on there, especially my throat. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. There should be no cold swirling around. It was, and it lasted, I want to say it was probably a good 10 to 12 seconds. Like, it was long. Like, I was able to analyze it frame by frame. Like, it was pretty nuts.
There's not an explanation for that.
Not when it should be two people with, you know what I mean, body heat.
Are you
Kinda going
looking
back
that
and
way?
forth.
Yeah.
You seen anything?
No, I wasn't
30
even
feet,
seeing
20 feet?
anything that way.
Yeah,
This
if you want to.
Okay.
Oh, are we passing it back?
You're saying.
All right. Stop.
I didn't hear much.
Anybody else want to give this thing a listen before I put it away?
No, I'm not seeing much.
Right there, right there, right there.
So I'll
Yeah,
give
no,
it
Oh,
a
that's
there's
second.
people.
that's just
Okay,
a
yeah, yeah.
street
it's people.
light.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, at least we caught somebody walking in the distance. All right, that's good.
Crack this up.
Yeah, you're mainly catching the street lights
Yeah,
from
that
what
one.
I'm seeing.
I got yelled.
No, you see the forms come out. That's one over there.
You guys would have caught that for sure in the background.
This does have a certain range to it, so I would need to be further down there to catch it.
Okay.
Alright, so with the cams, you can keep them on as we exit the alley, because we are going to go out the same way as the but I would say once we hit the street, go ahead and hit those stop buttons. And then we will stop on a ledge where you guys can all sit down for a minute. We're going to go stop for a quick restroom break, and we also need to use the restroom. Sorry, 5 minutes down the driveway. And then I will swap out all of various parts and pieces from this place, and we will go off that side. So let's walk around the corner. Come on, Doc, you're invited. Well,
He looks back every once in a while, make sure he's still
Thank you again. Thank you. I always say goodbye and I don't bother to
come up to this ledge so I can. Happens all the time. It's kind of like the vibe of what we get.
I had 2 radio stations in a row sounding hill.
What was it again?
Hill.
Hill.
Well,
It's that tall stone right there in front of us.
this thing turned bright. Right when you said that. There.
If there's a spirit here, can you show up on the camera to let us know? If you walk right here in front of us, we'll be able to see you.
Great. Okay.
I said this morning, I'm like, you might have to go to the hospital. I said, if I hadn't already had my appendix out, I would say I'm having appendicitis right now.
Come on.
Wilson.
All right, we got enough for us to be able to analyze. Let's stop those recordings and as far as the cameras go.
42.8.
That's a pretty big drop.
Same spot.
We got a lot of footage from that thermal to really go through. Point something out once everybody catches up.
Oh. Yeah, the spot. Mass graves. Oh,
I just got 15
look at the
on that
blue.
episode.
You were also across the way from that lamppost. So probably a portion of that probably came from the lamppost.
Fair.
Does anybody watch, and we're not stopping here, does anybody watch Outer Banks, by the way?
No.
So the
Look at
last
all
season they just posted, one of their episodes was all shot right here. So I always like to point it out because it's a big show and I'm huge.
Look at all that. That's the most I've seen. Mass grave. Mass graves right here. This is where it was turning blue the whole month. I know, this is like it was going nuts here. Man.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that.
Oh my
The
god.
whole thing is going nuts right there.
Oh,
Okay,
I was
we
trying
got
to get a picture of it while it was blue.
It's dropping right there where that mass grave is. Okay.
Oh, where leaves it in? Spirit? On the thing? Lonely Heart?
Henry?
It became in his speech.
Henry, let's change topic. Let's talk about your beautiful wife. Can you tell us her name or where you met her? He was her school teacher, in case anybody was wondering. That's how they met. She
God's love.
They usually say things as they hear them.
That's what could mean like fate.
I'd agree with that. Henry? Let's not let Thomas fall asleep in there. Give us an image.
Just got 10.
Whisper.
10.
Perfection.
Henry.
isolation?
Here or at the park?
When I see you.
Where did you used to see me? Where?
In a relationship.
Did you maybe give him a color that you've seen him? Or like in a place that you've seen him?
Energy. More like a tattoo. Tainted love.
Henry. Really getting disappointed.
Alone.
Okay.
Short term.
Isolated.
Still.
Lonely heart.
Years.
He's got a 10. Yeah, 2 10s over here. Henry, an image would be fantastic. Maybe we'll wrap it up early if you can give us a relevant image.
Alex.
What was that?
Alex.
He was a poor man.
Last night.
Henry, I asked you.
Just hit out on my phone if it helps you communicate better. I'll set it right here on top of the sign if that helps
Sure,
control
never
power.
You can hear this.
He knows these are all electronics.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this experiment thing for 2 years.
2024.
There's a 24.
A place.
Henry, it's a little vague because I don't normally use the direct year.
Does that just tell you every song I heard?
Every lyric. Now, your device, do you know where the volume is on your device?
Yeah.
I want you, if there's a button next to the volume, turn it in the opposite direction. It'll turn the machine off. This way we know that the last 10, 13 minutes came from this session. Yep. So turn it in the opposite direction. There you go. Alright, so I'm going to call this slightly successful. We had a few things that were actually direct answers. They didn't come like immediately after, but we got them a little bit later, which is fine. They were still pretty direct. You did say 2024. We were looking for a specific date. The date was the 24th. You both actually said various things in like isolation, lonely heart, alone, things that would show the mourning of a loss, basically. I did say it was like due to an illness.